Well, welcome back. Today we are going to look at the paper 2 outline. First of all, we are going to start from system terminologies. Systems technologies questions are mostly in question 4, question 9, as well as question 10. So I'm just going to give you tips in solving some of these questions. Right now, the general concept questions will be centered around the type of users, the data, information, knowledge, and then conclusion, reason for using computers, and different types of ICT in our various sectors, or the importance of ICT in different sectors. Right. So first of all, let's start with the general concept. The type of computer users, we have SOHO, power user, personal computer user, mobile users, as well as enterprise users. Each of these users, you should know the definition and then the devices or the hardware needed, the input devices, the output devices, the storage devices, the communication devices needed for each user. So SOHO, which is small office, home office, basically a user who needs some devices for their small businesses or at home base. Normally they need entry-level specification, right? The basic entry level or the basic level specification of hardware. Then the power user is somebody who needs high specification devices to perform their task, like the editing of videos, 3D drawings, or gaming, and others. Then personal user is someone who uses these computers for their personal or individual use with basic specifications so that they can do tasks like browsing, like searching information from the internet. And then mobile user. A mobile user is someone who use computers for portable means. Computers like smartphones, tablets, laptops with free movement. And then enterprise user is somebody who use high capacity, high-end computers, mostly for organizations. So basically all these type of users, you need to know them, and then some of the devices needed for each specification. Then again, you must also know how to differentiate between data, information, knowledge, and conclusion. You can be given a question to define each of these terminologies, as well as giving example. Like last year, November 2023, they were given a question like that, whereby they were asked to define the term data and then give example of a data. So the simple definition of a data is raw and processed facts, which I've underlined. Those are the keywords. And keywords are very, very important when you are solving or you're answering such questions. You can write the keywords, and whatever that you write, we don't care. We look out for the keywords and then we give them a. So keywords are very important. So as you prepare, as you study for this examination, make sure that you highlight the keywords. I will make available this document to you under the comment section. You get a link to download it, and then the notes and questions and answers as well. So please, keywords, very important. So data can be defined as raw facts and figures without meaning. It does not have any meaning. Like if I say 20 what? It doesn't answer anything. So it has no meaning. Or if I say 100 or blue, what do you mean by blue? So they are just raw facts that needs to be processed. And then the information is a processed data that are meaningful. So for information, it has meaning. For instance, if I say 20 liters, 20 liters, 20 liters of oil, it's meaningful because you are dealing with maybe oil or something. So it's meaningful. If I say the 100 degrees Celsius, that's the boiling point of water, it has meaning. So after the data has been processed, then it becomes the information. So information can be defined as a processed data that are meaningful. And then knowledge is the application of information to understand pattern or relationship or concept or trend. So when you apply the process data so that you understand a trend, then that becomes the knowledge. For instance, knowing that the boiling point of water is at 100 degrees Celsius is a knowledge to you because you are now applying the information so that you understand the fact that the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. And lastly, conclusions that are decisions made by or made based on knowledge gain. So let's say if you gain a knowledge that the boiling point of water is at 100 degrees Celsius. So what decisions do you make? So meaning that whenever you are boiling water, the 100 degrees Celsius, they need to become maybe warm. So, and I gave you a sample, a typical example here using a scenario. So you can also be given a question whereby it will be scenario based, and then you'll be asked to pick out the data from it, the information from it, the knowledge, as well as the conclusion. Like example here, 30, just numbers. So numbers are also data, just numbers. But the information, if I say 30 degrees Celsius or 40% humidity, you have added meaning to the data. And then the knowledge is when you say warm weather with moderate humidity, that means the 30 degrees Celsius, you are gaining knowledge that is warm weather, and then it's moderate humidity. Then you are understanding the condition at that time. Then when you know that the warm weather with moderate humidity, that means you need to wear light clothes. You don't need to wear jacket and others. So we make a decision out of it. So that is how we link this. Right now, also, you need to know the reasons of using computer or the reasons why you need a computer or computing devices. Computing devices, because we need to include also devices that have capabilities or that have the same function as computers. Now, the first reason, which is saving time and labor, saving communication cost, effect on time, and then global communication. So at least you must know to include some of the reasons, the advantages, the disadvantages. You need to know at least 2 or at most 3, because we don't ask more than 3 reasons or more than 3 advantages or disadvantages. So when you get this document and then you print out, you highlight them, the points that you remember when you see such type of questions. Then hardware, we move to hardware. We are going to start with the convergence. You must know the definition of convergence, the advantages and disadvantages of convergence devices, and examples as well. So when multiple technologies are combined into one device, we call it convergence. Combine, that is converge. An example is smartphones, laptops, tablets, technology that has so many technology combined. Like if you take smartphone, you will find a smartphone has webcam. Smartphone also has GPS system in it. Smartphone also has email facility technology. So when you have so many technologies combined in one device, we call it convergence. So you should know the advantages of having convergence or convergent devices, as well as the disadvantages of having convergent devices. For instance, when you lose, if so many technologies are combined, when one is not functioning, meaning that you need to take it for repairs, and then in such situation, you'll be losing other functionalities. So you must know it. There are some documents there that I will give you as well. You have to know all these things when you are studying. So this is just the tips. You must also know information processing cycle, each stage, the definition. Like last year or 2 years ago, they asked them about the communication stage, the definitions. So you must know the keyword. Input, that is entering data into computer. Those are the keywords. Example of input devices like keyboard being the most common input device, mouse, and the rest. Processing, manipulating or changing data or performing calculation so that it becomes meaningful. And then that is the processing stage. Example of processing device, which is CPU, the most essential component of the computer, the RAM, the ROM, and other devices. Right, sometimes they even add motherboard to it as also processing device. Then the storage, that is saving data for future use permanently. That's the keyword. Saving data for future use permanently. An example of the storage devices are hard drives, SSDs, flash drives, and the rest. Then output devices, or the output, that's the results of a processed data, and communication, the keyword is transfer of data or information. So transfer of data or information between devices. That's the definition. When one information is transferred from one device to another, it will be through network or internet, and that's the communication stage. Right? And also you must know the integration of input mode to enhance productivity. Having two or more input means or devices in one system so that when one is not functioning, the other one will also work. For instance, if you go to these shops, point of sales, Pick n Pay or any shop, you realize that they have keyboard or the keypad, the touch screen, and barcode scanner. So if the barcode scanner, after using it to scan an item, doesn't work, they can resort to the keypad or they can use the touch screen so that they can enter the barcode. So when one is not functioning, the other one will take over, and then there will not be any halt in productivity. The productivity will carry on. And that is what we call the integration of input mode to enhance productivity. Now, we move straight to buying decisions. When you are buying any of the devices, what are the decisions? What are the key factors that you have to consider? What are the specifications that you have to consider when you are buying them? If we take, like, for instance, the keyboard, you have to consider ergonomic considerations. Like, you have to consider ergonomics, risk. The keyboard must be supported, soft touch keys, and then the split or angle keyboard. Like for mouse also, the mouse should have a shape where you can rest your palm on it. And then the positioning or the angle allowing natural rest position also. So you need to consider this. Again, when buying keyboard or mouse, you must consider the wireless or the cable. There are some keyboards that are having wireless capabilities using Bluetooth, and there are others that are also using cable, the USB cable. So you need to consider that. Are you going to use it in such a way that you are going to be more mobile, or you'll be stationed in class? Are you going to use it in a lab so that there will not be any interferences? So these are the also considerations that you have to take in such a way that you can get a better device. So comparing wireless input or output with a cabled one. With a wireless one, we have freedom of movement. Wireless use Bluetooth, and there's freedom of movement, connection interferences. Yes, if you have so many in one room, there will be interferences, and it requires battery, or you have to charge before you can use it. But in the cabled one, does not need to be charged. They take their power from the computer. Right, and then also expensive to buy. When you use the wireless input, it's expensive to buy, and then the cabled one is cheaper to buy. Then the wireless, it can easily be stolen, for instance, in the classroom setting or the lab. If you're using wireless mouse, a lot of people, or most of them, will be lost because they will just take it and put it in their pocket. But then the cabled one is not easily stolen. Right, so you need to know how to compare these two. Another input device is digital camera or webcam. And what are the factors that you have to consider when purchasing a digital camera or webcam? The first factor is resolution. And you say the higher the resolution, the better the quality of the image. You must also consider the sensor size, the ISO rating, how sensitive the camera is to light. I mean, when you're in the light place or the low light, can you take a better image? And then the lens option, we have lens that is fixed, you cannot change it, and others that are more flexible. So the fixed one like point and shoot, and then the flexible one like DSLRs, that you can always modify it. Then also connectivity issues regarding the camera. Are you going to be connected through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth? Does it have all these facilities? As well as the cost. Remember, when you're buying point and shoot is cheaper, so you must consider the cost as well. And then we move on to scanners, which is also input device for capturing images into the computer. That's the definition. And then the factors to consider are the resolution, the speed, the connectivity, the color depth, OCR, the size, the cost. You need to know at least 2 or 3 if you're asked to give the factors to consider when purchasing a scanner. Then the scanner resolution is measured in DPI. The higher the DPI, the better the resulting image. If you are given a question, how the resolution can affect the quality of the image. Monitor also for displaying results on the screen. And the monitor, the resolution is measured in pixels. The number of pixels horizontally and vertically. So number of pixels horizontally and vertically. So you will see something like 1024 by maybe 840 or something. So meaning the number of pixels 1024 by the number of pixels horizontally and vertically. And here the higher DPI or the higher pixels, the number of pixels. The higher the number of pixels, the better the resulting image. Right, and then the screen size is also measured in inches diagonally from one end to another end. That's how we measure screen size. Also, for monitor, you must consider the connectivity, the color depth, the refresh rate, which is measured in hertz, and then the size, and then the cost as well. Then printers also for converting soft copy into hard copy. Factors to consider when purchasing a printer similar to the monitor. You must consider the type of the printer. Are you going to purchase the inkjet or laserjet? Inkjet when you need a better quality photo printing, and then the laser when you need a very fast, high volume black and white printing. And also, if you need the printer that can do so many functions, we call it all-in-one or multi-purpose or multi-function printer. So it can print, it can scan, it can copy, and then it can flex and staple as well. Then we also have the speed. We must consider the speed, which is measured in ppm, the number of pages that can be printed per minute. And then resolution for printer, which is DPI. The higher the DPI, the better the print quality. Then the cost, we have the budget cost per page and then the cost to buy. You know, in most cases, when you are purchasing, the laser is more expensive than inkjet. So you need to consider these. Duty cycles also, the number of pages that you can print within 1 month before you go for maintenance. That's what we call the monthly duty cycle. The paper size, the connectivity issues, and then touchscreen features. So some printers can print A3, A4, and A5 at the same time. So you need to consider all these factors before you purchase a printer. Then we move on to voice and speech recognition. Sometimes we are given a question to compare these or the advantages and disadvantages of voice or speech recognition. Now, when you talk about the speech recognition software, it's a type of software which identifies the spoken word into text. Like as I speak right now, if I wanted to convert into text so that you can see on my screen, the software that will allow that is called speech recognition. Whatever that I say, then it will be written on the screen. But voice recognition, it rather identifies a particular voice, the person speaking, like my voice. Mostly, the voice recognition software is for biometric security or password-related issues. So example of this speech recognition is Siri. You must know the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that accessibility, you can also perform tasks faster, like let's say you just say something, then easily it will search for you. Convenient also in terms of searching and the rest. But then the disadvantage is that if there's a lot of background noise, it will affect it. Or if you have flu or something, you will not be able to, or to have it. Imagine you are having flu and then your voice will change. Then you use your voice as a password for your phone. It's going to have an effect as well. Then also, privacy concern is also a disadvantage when using voice or speech recognition. So you must know at least 2 of them. And again, comparing solid state drive with a hard drive, you have to know at least 2. Sometimes they can ask you a question, why will you opt for SSD instead of HDD? Or why will you opt for HDD instead of SSD? Now, SSD is very fast and durable. So this is the more reason why you choose that. Again, SSD is energy efficient, but the disadvantage is that it's more expensive as compared to the hard drive. So if you don't have a good budget, you always go for hard drive. But in terms of durability, in terms of the speed to access or read file, then you always go for SSD. Then also, we must know backup and archive. Backup is making copies, that is a short term, so that in case the reason for backup is data protection. We do backup because of data protection, or we do backup to recover your files in case of loss, or you accidentally delete it, or it's corrupted by virus or the system failures, then you can easily get it. But archive is a long term. storage. Let's say you have your pictures that you want to put it somewhere so that in future or for historical reasons, you just go and then take it and then you look at it, all for legal requirements. So archive is a long term, backup is a short term. Then you must also know comparing cloud storage to cloud computing and then grid computing. So cloud storage is when you store files online. Very simple definition. Saving files online or storing files online. So saving, like I said, we need keywords. Cloud computing, which combines the cloud storage, that's the saving files, cloud storage, that's the saving file, and then using software online. So doing all the computing services on the internet, we call it cloud computing. So you can use 365 online or use Google online, and then after that, you save your work also there. But then the grid computing, you share multiple resources. So the first keyword is sharing. You share multiple resources or sharing hardware. What are you sharing to do? To solve a single problem through the internet. So that's the simple definition of grid computing or distributed computing. Now, the processing device, we talk about it also. Then the risk involved when using input devices. What are the risks? We have the CTS, RSI, and then the keylogger. These are the three risks that you can encounter with when you're using input devices. And how do you prevent them? You must also know them. The RSI, the CTS, when you type for long or using a mouse for a long period of time, you can get a wrist pain. So that's the CTS. And then how do you prevent it? You must use ergonomic keyboard, proper posture, wrist support, and then you must also take break. But in the RSI, one example of RSI is the CTS. So this one is repetitive movement or sitting for long. You can have eye strain, back pain, and other. They are all part of RSI. And then the keylogger is a malware, or a keylogger can even be a physical, or it can be a physical device that criminals or people normally install to record your keystrokes as you type in order to steal your sensitive information. The sensitive information can be password or credit card without your knowledge. Then the keylogger. How do you prevent that? You need to take a regular update or install anti-malware or avoid unknown or suspicious devices. Right. And then you must also know various specifications. Hardware specifications, input, output for different users like so. You need to know them. How to fix ordinary problems, mainly for scenario-based questions, like sticky mouse. How do you fix sticky mouse? When you need a mouse pad or you need a better surface. Scanning problem and solutions. When you are scanning, maybe the resolution or you see it to be not properly after scanning. Maybe you have to change your color profile or the resolution. So these, you must identify the problem. They can be given a question to, by giving you a problem, then they will ask you to state the solutions to that problem. Also, resolution, like I said, is a problem. Then printing problem like paper jam, or you can be paper jam when it's not printing, or no papers, or no ink, and the rest. So this problem, how do you resolve them when it's not printing? on connectivity issues. Right. Also, to ensure green computing when printing, you need to print 2 pages per sheet, reduce the font, and then using recycled papers and others. So you must know this when you're given a question, how do you save paper or how do you ensure green computing when printing? So here, green computing or saving paper when printing. Right. Then also disk errors. When you talk about disk errors, we mean the internal storage errors and how you can resolve this. So the disk could be HDD. That's what they are referring to. Now, we have fragmentation and defragmentation. Fragmentation, we mean whereby the files are scattered on the disk and then which slows down the computer. Now, the defragmentation, you rearrange the scattered files on the disk so that the computer will now work at a faster rate. Remember, defragmentation does not give extra space. It doesn't free up space. It rather increase the speed of the computer. Then we have disk cleanup, would delete unnecessary files on the disk, and that is the one that free up the space. So let's say you delete other files or files that are not being used, or you uninstall software that you have not been using for long. So at the end of the day, you are going to get more space. Then when you are closing non-responsive programs, let's say this one is not responding, my Word is not responding. To close it, I must use Task Manager. You can search for Task Manager from the search. Or alternatively, you can press Control, the Alt, and then the Delete key. Then you see Task Manager. Then you can be able to look for the file that is open or the application that is open that's causing that problem. So like if it's Microsoft Word, I click on it, then I click on End Task and to close. Again, that's not the only thing that we do under Task Manager. Task Manager can also display the performance of your computer, the usage of your CPU, the memory used. So as you can see here, I've used about 80% RAM, and then the CPU speed, 32%, then the disk. So it shows all this performance. It can also show you the app history, the app that you have been opening or used. It also shows you the startup software. It also gives you different users that have logged into the computer. So it's not only showing you the processes that you can enter, it shows you others as well. Right. Also, how do you check free space on your storage? You go to the app. So if I go to play this PC, I will see all the drives here. So if I want to see now here, I've used 21.6 gig, or that is left out of 237 gigabytes. So you can just check it by going to this PC. And then we move to the next one, that is social implications, printing issues, like we talk about it, the monitor usage, when you're using monitor, some of the issues you might encounter, and then e-waste. That's whereby the discarded electronic devices are thrown away to the landfill. That's a simple definition of e-waste. Now let's move to software. Now the software, we know application software and system software. So the different types of software, application software that performs specific tasks, and then system software, a software that control and manage activities or activities within the computer. Right. So these are basically the two types of software. Now, you must also know some of the examples like MS Word, spreadsheet, and the rest, and what they are used for. Then the system software, we have basically the three types of system software. We have one, three types of system software. We have one operating system, like Windows. So operating system which controls all activities, like Windows, like Android. So example is Windows. We have Android, iOS, and the rest. Right. Then we also have utility program. They do the maintenance or they maintain. And there are so many of them, examples of utility software. We have defragmenter, disk cleanup, compression software. We have defragmenter, and so on. There are so many of them. We have uninstaller. We have antivirus. So they basically maintain the computer. And then also we have driver. A driver is a software that makes sure that a software that OS, operating system, communicate with devices. So we have so many types of drivers. We have the print driver. And then others. We have so many types of drivers. So you need a driver in such a way that the device you are connected to the computer will work effectively. They can communicate with each other. Then you must also know how to compare a web-based software versus installed software. When we talk about web-based software, that's the software that we use via internet, like for instance, Office 365, and then the Gmail, the Google applications as well. Then the installed, those software that we install on the computer, like what I'm having right now, the software that I've installed, that is occupying space on the computer. Now, comparing the two, the web-based software or the online software can be accessible from any device. So this one accessible from any device. They are also updated automatically. They don't take local space storage. They need internet before they can work, and easily scalable. Then the installed one only accessible on a specific device it is installed on. Updates are done manually, not automatically. Limited scalable. and then it doesn't depend on internet. And then they also use local storage space. So you should know how to compare these two. They can ask you, why will you choose a web-based application, or why will you not recommend a web-based application? So you must know that is the advantages and disadvantages. Right. Then we go to system requirements. We have these three, the definitions, you must know them with a keyword. The hardware and software needed for an application to work is called system requirement. What are the hardware and software that I need so that I will be able to install a particular software or for it to work? And then the minimum one is the lowest possible specification for the application to work at all. So the keyword is the lowest possible specification. Then the recommended system requirement is the specification that will make a software or application to work at its full potential. What are the hardware specifications that will make that software work at its full potential? And that's the recommended specification. You must know it as well. And then again, risk of using a flawed software, that's the software with bug. When you're using certain type of software that has a bug, which is software error, what are the risks? Malware infections, the software might not work properly. It might become unavailable, security concerns, data corruption, and the rest. You must know at least 2 or 3 for this risk. And when we talk about bug, like I said, it's a software with errors. And to solve the bug, you need to install patch. Patches are updates that are used to fix bug. Now, the service pack is when you have a lot of patches over a certain period of time, then we call it service pack. The definitions make it short and easier with a keyword. And then the versions are the new features in the software. Read only is only files cannot be edited. Right, and upgrade and then update. Like update, I say update have new features to solve that. But then the upgrade is improvement from a software or hardware to a higher version, which increase its performance. Let's say you are improving from Office 2016 to Office 365, which will bring additional features. So you are improving that software, and that's what we call an upgrade. You must also know what a beta version software is, or trial version, which is testing software, or a software that is undergoing testing. Then the site license with the EULA end user license agreement, like the site license limited, which is unlimited number of installations. Then we also have multi-user, which is a limited number of installations, usually more than 2 up to 20. And then a single user is only installed on one computer. Then we also have a subscription software like SaaS, software as a service, that you subscribe before you can get access to it. Again, Creative Commons, the definition, non-profit organization that provide free license and legal tools. You must know this definition. An organization that gives free license for you to watch certain videos on the YouTube or use certain books without being charged of copyright issues. Then user-centered design, which is designed to work in the way that the user wants. Like when you're designing a software or you're designing a website, you must consider users, the colors and other things, so that it will be attractive. And that's what we call the user-centered design. You should also know at least 3 functions of operating system. The easier one, because sometimes they can restrict you in the examination by saying aside a particular one. So 1, to start up the computer. providing GUI, manage applications, managing hardware, controlling single users and multi-users, which allows people to sign into one computer. Again, file types and properties, they provide that, and it brings us to what we call the metadata. When we talk about metadata, that is additional information of a file. Additional information of a file, like the author, the file size, the file path, the date modified, the date saved. So if you go to the file properties, you see all these metadata. Right. You must also know how to schedule an update so that you don't forget file compression software like WinZip, WinZip, 7-zip. There are so many of them, file compression software, and then backups and others. Operating system also controls login. It is the one that allows you to log in, put password on your devices. Right, like I already talked about the utility software like File Manager, Disk Cleanup, Defragmenter, compression software, uninstaller. All these, you can also get access to it when you type, like if I go to File Manager. It will give you or the 7 or disk cleanup or defragmenter. To go to defrag, to give it defragment and then optimize drives. Right. So all those are utility software. Now, what are the factors that influence the performance of the computer? What makes the computer work proper or faster? The first one is the processor speed, the RAM size, the number of applications running that you have opened, caching, which is the frequently used application that makes it work faster, or the website, disk space, and then disk speed, malware infections. All these can affect the computer to be slow. Then add-ons, which is additional feature that enhance the functionality of a software. Remember, we no longer examine what we call the plug-in. Now add-on and extensions have taken over. So those are the additional features that allow certain software or browsers to function properly. These are the examples of add-ons: print friendly, ad blocker, pop-up blocker, and the rest. Then most essential devices in computer, that's the CPU, RAM, the storage, or the GPU. Right. You need to know all these and others, and I will share the notes also. These are just the summary that will make your work easier. Now, in our next lesson, we'll be looking at network. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel.